What is up, everybody? I'm Courtney. Sean's fashionably late as usual. James Brady, Spirit Led Research. What's going on there, buddy? And the other half, Miss Kim. How are y'all? So, I was going to delay this podcast due to hunting season, but he's coming. We just got home from the butcher a little late. Oh, but first day out, he laid one down. Hey, Emily and Chris. How are y'all doing? Michael Brooks, Fredericksburg Paranormal. Emily and Chris are with Lost Souls PI. How are you guys doing? Trying to stay warm, I presume. Who else is in here? Oh, absolutely. But he was hunting something else in the woods, and it wasn't cryptids. Daryl Paulette, Bedford Paranormal, along with the spirits of the Clover Hill Village, as well as the historic Appomattox County Jail. They have their calendar open for 2026, guys. Hop on it. Can't beat it. We just booked our date for 2026. Hope you guys get one on the books too. So yes, he is joining us. Welcome.
What's up?
Welcome,
Where's my
welcome.
glasses at?
I think they are in the laptop bag, which is over there. No, they are. I took them to Gettysburg this past weekend. Speaking of Gettysburg, guys, I had a lot of people reach out because I made a status saying that Gettysburg was testing my patience. That was not a lie. Between the parking attendants, idiots, and poor customer service at restaurants, I was 90% sure Sean was going to need bail money. But I changed my way of thinking and ended up having the time of my life this past weekend, honestly. Who else is still eating leftover Halloween candy? Me. But yeah, we were joined by Lost Souls PI, Robert Ebert. Hey!
We live, baby. Emily was lying all weekend, y'all.
Emily was not lying. You were caught up lying about Emily.
Emily was lying all weekend.
Funny story, guys. Funny story. I asked the spirits of Rainworth if Emily needed to stop lying. And they said yes. So Emily may have a lying problem, guys.
Michelle. What's up? Daryl, we live, baby. Yeah. Oh, man.
Michelle Wilfong with the Haunted Apartment. If you don't subscribe to her YouTube, go head on over there and do that now.
You got to go check it out.
You know, the one thing that I like about Michelle that I'm going to put a plug in here about is the reaction of her animals. I believe that animals have senses that we humans don't have. So if you ever watch any of her videos, her animals are around and there'll be like a loud noise and then an orb. But after the loud noise, like the dog will look in the direction in which the orb manifests. So to me, I'm like, okay, what did the dog see? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, check it out. Yeah, Emily, the ghost did tell you need to stop lying. I'm just saying.
Emily, stop lying.
Just saying.
Emily, keep trying. Wipe your face. You're about to start crying.
That's a new song.
Emily, stop lying.
But this past weekend, guys, was completely off the hooks. We were joined by two awesome teams, Lost Souls PI as well as Booze Paranormal. Yeah. And as usual,
shout out Ron and Michelle Wood.
Historic Rainworth Lodge did not disappoint.
Hands down, the only place I've ever been to shows me consistent, real paranormal activity.
So, I'm going to ask you guys this. I'm going to put my vulnerable self out there. And I'm going to ask you guys in the comments this. So, I think it was Chris had said he had like interest in utilizing like dowsing rods. He's always kind of shown interest in dowsing rods. Me, I've never been really a fan of utilizing dowsing rods on an investigation because I never thought that I was steady enough to do it. So Thursday night, we got in town, met up with Emily and Chris, got something to eat, head on over to the lodge, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to start investigating, like from the jump. So from the jump, walking in the door, first thing I did, we were unloading our stuff, and I was hearing disembodied voices, like full on conversation. Robert, I'm going to get there. So the answer is no, but that was crazy. So yes, I'm glad you were on the live to hear that. I wasn't about to go all the way in the woods to find out. I've heard tale of things up that way, and like I'm 90% sure like Bigfoot was just spotted. Like
it was a deer.
It was not a deer. I looked, but
it was a deer.
Anywho, Thursday. Sorry, Sean the skeptic here doesn't believe in anything. Thursday, I was holding the dowsing rods and I was really, really trying to like work with these dowsing rods. Like, I'm like, you know, come on, Courtney. Like, I'm like self-talking. I'm like, you know, steady your hands, ground yourself. Like, I'm going through like all the things. Ronnie Anderson, Bedford Paranormal. What's up? But I'm working with them and somehow I managed to sit perfectly still. So I'm proud of myself at this point. What's up, Mama D? So, Mama D will love this conversation that we have, Robert, here in a second. But anyway, so I managed to steady myself, and I'm really proud of myself. So I'm like pep talking. I'm like, good job, you know, blah, blah, blah. So I proceed to start working with them with the spirits of Rainworth. Hey, Amy, long time no see. Thanks for tuning in. I proceed to start working with them with the spirits of Rainworth, and I'm asking them to your typical cross for yes, open for no. They weren't really doing a whole lot. Kind of disappointing. I'm sitting there and I'm like, this kind of sucks. They're not moving. Just as soon as I was about to give up, something physically manipulated. It was my right dowsing rod. It almost darn near jerked it out of my hand. Not gonna lie, guys. Almost threw him in the ground and left Sean in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. It startled me quite a bit. So, and I think it's because, so this will be now my second very personal experience at this location. The first time was when the spirit jumped on the sofa next to me and I offered it popcorn. This time, though, it like literally touched and manipulated the dowsing rod in my right hand and then proceeded to manipulate the left one. So after I got startled and let him go and kind of gathered and regained my composure, I picked him back up and I said, I got real intrigued at that point. Okay, wait a minute. If something can physically manipulate this, like what else can it do? So, you know, then I rerouted my questions to go towards things like, all right, if that was you that touched the right stick, is what I was calling it, in my hand, can you at that point grab the left one? At which point, I think Emily, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, was videotaping, or Chris was sitting there. One of the two of them was sitting there and saw my whole, like it jerked down so hard, it jerked my whole wrist down. So thanks, Amy. Appreciate it. Booze Paranormal, we were just shouting you out over here.
What's up, Ron?
Howdy, howdy. So, of course, when things like that happen, you get super excited and you want everybody else in the room to experience that. So I go and I'm like, hey, Chris, do you want to, you know what? I wish I was on some, because that night, like 3 cups of coffee was not enough. What's up, Terry, with NSPS TV Paranormal Podcast?
What's up Terry.
And so, yeah, so Emily's saying she was there too. So, yeah, that was wild. So at this point, I'm like, Chris, you want to try? Let's see if like they'll grab them for you. So Chris is sitting there, a few minutes go by. Damned if something didn't physically manipulate. This one was his left rod. So, you know, he then at that point asked if Emily wants to try. I think Emily tried. We handed them to Sean. Sean determined that these dowsing rods were way too small for his hands. So, yes, he just got out of the woods. Hey, Debbie Cushman and the hair. So
Haunted Octagon.
On Friday, while we were out and about and we were shopping or whatever, we managed to find Sean a set of dowsing rods made specifically for his hands. The cool thing is, scientifically speaking, copper is an energy conduit, right? So he did, Amy. That's why we were having a little late start. But I didn't. I started on time. I ended up starting on time. Diverse Dimensions 2026, you in.
We did get meat for the freezer, Amy.
We did.
We did. I got lucky.
Yeah.
It wasn't the one I wanted, but it had antlers, so I was happy.
So anyway, we managed to find dowsing rods for Sean's hands. Again, what I was saying was most of the time, you know, well, not most of the time, all the time, copper is a conduit for energy. So these rods that we found Sean have wooden handles that are big. They're chunky wooden handles. So they fit perfectly in Sean's hand. Chris said, had a good point he brought up, and he said, you know, if something moves those rods at that point, you're actually taking away that like psychological factor by having the wooden handles because your energy isn't being transferred to the copper rods. And I thought that was a really interesting point, and I wanted to get your guys' opinion on that. Do you think that dowsing rod usage is primarily paranormal, or do you think that it's primarily psychological in the mind of the holder? That's my question for everybody in the comments tonight. Because I will say that while working with Sean's dowsing rods, those were the stillest rods they were the stillest rods I've ever grabbed in my life. We found them in Gettysburg at the Haunted Object Museum. Actually, they have a gift shop.
Shout out Spooky.
Yeah, so I thought they were neat. They are very comfortable in your hands. They take away a lot of that additional sway that comes with a set of dowsing rods. You know how when you pick up a set and they kind of are acting erratic and doing this number until you kind of steady yourself out? You pick these up and it's like instant steady. So I did like that factor. But I did notice that when working with them, I only got one intelligent response out of like maybe 30 minutes.
Bingo.
Could have been nothing was there. Could it have been, you know, I don't know. Ronnie, dowsing rods, there's an art to those. I don't have the skills. Well, see, and I don't either. That's why I just was like, this is a perfect time to kind of like practice and see what I can do type deal. You can feel if something is moving the rod. You can tell if something is using them. So now I will say Thursday night, like I said, something grabbed the rods and tried to jerk them out of my hands. I had two witnesses, and I literally am not going to lie. I almost launched them at poor Chris that was sitting across from me, got my car keys, and drove back to Virginia. Like, I was not playing with these spirits because in my mind, like, the spirit standing in front of me is like flipping me off or like cussing me out. I don't know what's going on, but I mean, for all I know, like, it could have been right here. And that to me is like unsettling. Now, Amy, now that you say that, fast forwarding to Friday night, we did an experiment like that also came with the same result with the rods being actually physically manipulated. I was doing an Estes session while utilizing the rods. Um, so and I very quickly pulled the headphones off when I felt them get physically touched, because there was like a very weird voice that came through that I couldn't really like audibly make out what was said, but it was just like a strange voice. And then the rods got touched. But that was just the start of our weekend, guys. Just the start. I'm literally scratching the surface. Our weekend was complete with disembodied voices, shadow figures. I know my kids use them to find utilities for work, so I don't think it's psychological. Now, so Daryl, let me throw this at you. I took a set of rods down to the basement where the sump pump is, and there's an actual like hole in the basement that's full of water. And I wanted to see if they would like point towards the water, and they never moved. So I think I'm going to side more with Ronnie on there is an art behind utilizing dowsing rods. So I don't know if I just don't possess that skill. It is something that, I told you guys in the beginning of 2025 that I was going to keep trying new things, whether I like them or not. I wanted to continuously try new things and try to, it's almost like another level of skill mastery, I guess. Like if you're playing a video game and you got to like do this, I just got tagged from Facebook for a comment. They removed the comment in the chat. That's a first. Ronnie, that does not surprise me. If I had to guess, political? I don't know. But the little cyber police are out in full force right now, guys. They really are.
Oh, yeah. Politics is
Watch what you say.
A lot of stuff in politics right now.
Watch what you post, unless you don't care, and then keep posting. I'm all for it.
A lot of stuff going on in politics. They're going to be on it.
Yeah. Lord knows with TikTok, I'm getting banned left and right. I'm being put on restriction every time I turn around. So I had to assign moderators to my TikTok. I just cannot.
Shout out Sarah Bean.
Yeah, Sarah Bean and Carrie Lou. They are my moderators, and they are like on it. They're like running a concentration camp in my chat. I love it. So, but yeah, I am curious about the dowsing rods. I wanted to get your guys' opinion on them, on what you got, how you felt, if you've ever used them on investigations, if you think they're accurate, if you've ever had anything strange happen with a set of dowsing rods. I would love to know in the comments. But what kind of crazy stuff did you have happen this weekend?
It's all, to me, you know how.
Hey, Wanda.
Hey, Wanda. You know me, everything that I look for in an investigation is nothing to do with equipment. However, if things happen with equipment, that's cool. I'm here for it. But all of our experience, my experience had to do with the lights flickering. The light show we got at the Rainsworth was interesting.
Rainsworth.
The lights were flickering one at a time this weekend. I thought that was very interesting. My camera lights, which never malfunction, flickering. At the same time, lights that were never turned on all weekend. We live, baby.
They did start a whole hashtag about you in TikTok.
Yeah, the lights that were never turned on were cutting on and off. And I thought that was very interesting. On the equipment side of things, the GS2 I had, there was a girl that was investigating on the public side. And when she would walk into a room, it would literally...
Ronnie, they gave you a 30-day ban, bro. What did you do?
So there was a girl who would... Yeah, Ron, the lights were strange. Ron's wife, it was Ron's wife, Michelle, me, and Courtney. We're all sitting in the living room talking. and all of a sudden the living room light just cuts on and then cuts right back off. And I thought that was very interesting.
We got to give a shout out to Chris and his soul pods.
Yeah, Chris created a REM pod called the Soul Pod that's very difficult to trigger. That went off. I mean, every piece of equipment that was placed out was doing strange things. I brought an SLS camera with me so the public could use it, and we put it against. We aimed it at a wall with nothing on it, just a plain wall with white paint on it. That mapped a figure. When Ron went over to it, it kicked him. Then when Ron asked to reach up and grab his hand, the figure reached up and grabbed Ronnie's hand. So, I mean, it was just a lot of interesting stuff going on.
I think I actually have the video of the SLS I can possibly share. Let's see. I think I've got it like readily available here.
The SLS was picking up black orbs flying across the screen.
That was crazy.
The amount of footsteps that we heard all weekend, the shadow figures, the amount of crazy thing with the GS2 was when the girl would walk in the room, it would map her out, and then all of a sudden a cold wall would rush her on the screen and then back off. And at the same time, the door in the blacksmith shop, if anybody's ever been to the blacksmith shop in Rainworth, it would that door doesn't move. I mean, it'll move if you try to close it, but it would slowly start closing her like it was trying to keep her in the room. So that was very interesting. Ron and I tried to recreate it. We jumped up and down there. We were trying to get the door to shut and it wouldn't move. But every time she walked in there, the door would start slowly closing. I thought that was very interesting. So the amount of real paranormal is what I like to call it, activity that was going on in that place was just ridiculous. Rainworth is definitely one of those places that you do not need equipment. And we're not even going to mention the EVPs that were caught there. The whole EVP situation that was there. I mean, every room we went in, I was catching EVPs left and right. Even Ron that was with me was like, man, the EVPs here are crazy. Very creepy EVPs at that.
I'm trying to pull up the videos that Emily sent me, and like for some reason it's just stuck in September. But then again, you shared our podcast and look what you shared. I think Facebook is doing some strange stuff, guys.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah. I don't know what is going on with Facebook right this second. What? It's saying I have to enter a PIN to restore my messages with Emily. Embarrassing. Yes, you felt something pass through you in the entryway, and then the spirit box didn't you get an EVP or a spirit box or something saying like passing through or something? EVPs directly answering our questions. Yeah. Like Sean said, or like Ron said, sorry. Rainworth is an amazingly active location, guys. I enjoy interacting with the child spirits that reside there. They like playing games and being interactive. On 2 separate occasions, we had a laser grid die. When it first died, immediately Chris was about to stand up, go change it out, get a fresh battery in it, whatever. I told him, I said, hold off for a second. Let me try something. And this is a method that Sean, Howie, and myself have been really working with, is light manipulation in the spirit world. So I proceeded to then at that point ask said spirit, if you're sitting on the stairs and it's okay that we're talking to you, can you cut that light back on? And it cut back on and off. By the time we were all said and done with that, Chris walked over. He couldn't even click the button. Like, we're talking a dead laser grid. No pun intended on dead. Haha. Dead laser grid. The spirits are able to manipulate, and I say this time and time again, spirits can manipulate whatever they want, whenever they want. Sean,
that was crazy when Emily said, I felt something pass through me. So I immediately reached for my recorder, and the female voice said, "Just passed."
Yeah.
That was weird.
So Sean sent me a video while I was at work yesterday, which I thought was very interesting. I don't remember why I did what I did in this video. I didn't ever feel strange, so please don't think. Is it over here?
Should be in your inbox.
I can't even get into my inbox. Like it's
I didn't clip
stupid.
it. I recorded with my glasses.
But yeah, basically, like, you know how in the horror movies when the possessed person like comes into the room and as they're passing through, all the lights are flickering as they're exiting the room? Well, apparently that was me.
So you were the said ghost. All these reels you sent.
All right, hold on, guys. I can share the screen with you guys. All right, so I'm gonna share my screen with y'all and show you the video. Hey, Sin Schrader.
Hey.
Guys, author Sin Schrader Hill. I have a lot of people in my podcast and a lot of people outside my podcast that ask me number one question: how can I tell if a loved one who's passed on is around? And I tell them the same universal answer every single time. Head on over to the Amazon and order you a book by author Sin Schrader Hill, Signs from Beyond. She's got multiple different books out, but her Signs from Beyond book answers everything you ever want to know or everything you ever want to look for if you've had a loved one pass away. And it was just so awesome that she was able to put this insight in black and white for everybody to be able to read. You know, it's easy when somebody passes away to just say, oh, pay attention, you know, smells, this, that. But there's so much more beyond that. So you guys head on over to Amazon, order her book, Signs from Beyond. Well, all of her books are amazing. But check her out, author Sin Schrader Hill. We also saw Chris move, and he never actually moved. Oh, Emily, I'm going to talk about doppelgangers here in a second. But let me share my screen with you guys, and you guys can see what I saw. All right. So here we go. I'm going to play the video. This is me standing off to the left of the screen. Sean and everybody else are upstairs in that bedroom with the ceiling fan. In case everybody's wondering and everybody's about to comment, oh, I saw a shadow figure. Sean is in there. This is me. I'm the only one downstairs. Pay attention to the light on the ceiling as well as the flash that happens.
Notice my camera light flash.
I'm going to play it again.
Notice my camera.
Play it one more time. So, with that being said, guys, I don't remember why I walked in there and just stared. Like, first of all, that was creepy. Why was I just staring randomly with my mouth open? I don't remember that. I don't know. I might have been lost in thought. I might have heard something, might have saw a shadow. I'm not sure. I don't remember why I was right there. But I do know, I think it was a bottle over here that popped. I do know that once I regained my thoughts and I started walking through, it was like something out of a flippin' horror movie. Like when Sean sent this to me, I'm like, that shit you see in scary movies, like when the possessed person is walking through. No, I'm not saying I'm possessed, guys. I am anything other than possessed. But it was very weird how as I was walking through this, you know, this light on his camera flashes and then the lights on the ceiling flicker. Very creepy. Yes, it was very active at Rainworth, Fredericksburg.
Yeah.
Did you see the light pass through or just the flicker from the ones on the wall? I didn't see any of this. Sean is reviewing footage at this point, and I didn't see the flicker from the camera, didn't see the flicker on the ceiling, none of that. But we were having lights flicker all weekend long. Like, it was really bizarre.
That was the IR light on my camera that was flickering.
But fast forwarding to Saturday, we were joined by Boo's Paranormal, Ron and Michelle. They came out and we had a rough start to our evening. So I was a little bit nervous that maybe like energy might be off that night. But Rainworth again did not disappoint. That was the night that every piece of equipment we threw at the spirits of Rainworth went off. Every single solitary piece of equipment. Y'all hear me? Everything. From static meters to mag light play to the Hydra to
all Ron's inventions.
All of Ron's contraptions. Crazy spirit box session. I know me, Michelle, and Emily ran that spirit box, and Chris ran that spirit box for every bit of an hour. Okay, because it was so intelligent. Like, you could clearly hear clear words coming out of the spirit box.
It was even to the point where you asked how many fingers am I holding up, and a voice came through and answered two.
It said my name, Courtney. It called Chris out by name several times.
It called me the N-word.
I asked if it recognized anybody in the room, and clear as day, it came back and said, Chris. So yeah, I don't know what was going on at Rainworth, but let me see really quick. Hey, Sam from Wyoming. The IR flicker does make sense, except for your IR should not be doing that. And James, you are correct.
Right. And it wasn't
guys.
dead either.
Hey.
And just grand time, just to clear that up too, James, that my whole camera setup runs off batteries. So
yeah, full battery pack.
Everything's hooked to batteries. Nothing's running by itself. The camera itself, and all my additional cameras are hooked to battery packs on the tripod.
Yeah. So then fast forwarding through, the later it got, the crazier it got on Saturday night. And Ron and Michelle were sitting across from me. I was sitting in a chair next to Emily in front of the TV a little bit. And I was looking over Ron's head towards the dining room. As soon as I did this, I saw Chris walk from in front of the bookcase into the dining room and then hook a right to go towards the kitchen. This did not concern me. Chris was kind of pacing and all over and changing batteries and doing things like that, except for when I panned back quickly to the left and Chris was still seated in his chair. So Mr. Doppelganger Chris came out. And yeah, that was a little bit trippy. Ronnie, yes, we have actually done multiple EMF baselines in this house. This is a location that Sean and I have investigated at least a dozen times, like at least.
And I've done it with a tri-field,
yeah,
Ronnie.
EMF baselines have been established. We know exactly,
2 different tri-fields.
Where things are and stuff like that. So like a lot of people were asking me on TikTok Live, like, I don't know if that's a good location for the K2 in front of the TV. That is 100% an accurate statement, except for the fact that I walked over and unplugged the TV. So like from the wall. So there was no power going to the TV. So I explained that to everybody and stuff like that. But also the EMF was sitting there for hours before it started spiking. And I don't count on a K2 meter as a sole piece of equipment. What I looked for when the K2 went off was the lights flickered, the K2 spiked, and the REM went off all at the same time. Like, so it was like a whole trifecta of stuff that went off. Or when I asked Spirit to cut back on the dead laser grid, K2 would spike, static meter at the bottom of the stairs would go off, and then the laser grid that was up on top of the stairs would then cut on and cut back off.
And there's no reason a static meter should be going off in that place.
Yeah, and
It's all wood floors.
The static meter that we were using was a Periscope 360,
And Ron's.
I'm not gonna lie, I can't stand a Periscope because it never goes off. You have to like rub your hoodie like on the top of it to even create any static to even see if it's working. Like Ron said, the K2 was pegging in the blacksmith shop. There's zero power in that building.
Good point, Ron.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. James, you walk in and you feel the energy. Like I can tell you when the energy in Rainworth has shifted. But again, we've investigated it so much that like we're kind of used to certain energies in certain rooms or certain locations on the property. And each time we go, there's a shift in energy. And then you
feel it driving up the driveway.
Yeah, you can feel a shift. So like this said spirit that does not like Sean. I'm not going to give away his name for those of you that want to go investigate Rainworth, but he was a registered plantation owner. He doesn't like Sean. He wants Sean out of the house. He makes it very clear. He calls him the N-word. He tells him to shut the F up. He tells him to get the F out. This weekend, he sent him to the basement. He sent him to the basement. Told him, get down to the basement. And so Sean was like, okay, well, what's going to happen in the basement? And he was just like, get downstairs or something like that. And so Chris went with Sean down to the basement. And we didn't know that Chris had gone downstairs. So now the spirit box is going off, like pretty much telling Chris to come back upstairs. So whoever this said spirit is that doesn't like Sean wanted him in the basement alone. But nothing happens. Like when he was down there, I think he just wanted him out of the house. When this said spirit enters the room, there is a drastic shift in energy. Like drastic. You can physically feel it. We've gotten to the point where Sean can look at me or I can look at Sean and we could say he's here. Like we know. And the funny thing is if we have a spirit box going and the spirits are actively communicating, they will tell us he's coming before he gets there. So, and we got that. He's coming. And then I'm like, who's coming? And they were like, him. And I'm like, well, who's him? And then all of a sudden it was like, hi, N-word. And we're like, oh, you know, that's who's coming.
We've gotten it on spirit boxes and recorders.
EMF wouldn't make the lights or camera IR go off, but it would light up most all other devices, not doubting evidence, just asking. You would be correct. Yes. And I would be more apt to lean towards that if we had solely EMF equipment out, but we didn't. We had EMF detectors as well as REMs, as well as I didn't mean to say REMs. I meant to say the soul pods, the trigger objects that we had out that don't require EMF or whatever. Like you have to touch the Hydra for it to go.
Yeah, that's the EDI boxes.
The EDI boxes.
You're talking the EDI boxes, the Hydra. I saw your Hydra thing. The static electricity. EMF doesn't affect static. Different things. I mean, the REM, y'all know how I feel about REM pods. I could take them or leave them just because none of that stuff proves paranormal. Even EMF detectors doesn't prove paranormal. There's nothing documented that proves that a K2 spike is paranormal or REM pod. But y'all also know that I believe that if something cannot be explained or proven, then it's paranormal. So the way I look at it is, if multiple things are happening at once and you can't figure it out, you can't debunk it with science or anything that makes sense. For example, that light that y'all saw flicker, can it be explained? Absolutely. It could be a short somewhere. It could be The light switch wasn't all the way off. It could be anything. There's a but to that. The light switch for that fan light is a slider switch. And what I mean by slider, there's two little buttons you have to physically push, and it's an old switch, so you have to really give it forced, and you have to slide it all the way up to get those lights to flicker that bright. If those lights were down, and if you cut those lights up, it always cuts the fan on. And I was complaining about it being cold all weekend, so we weren't cutting that fan on. So to make that light flicker, somebody would have to take those buttons, slide them up, slide them down. A ground fault could cause to flicker, but not the hour. You're right. A bad ground could do it. However, when we're chasing our evidence and we're trying to figure out what's going on, the owner has reported that that light has never done that before.
That particular light has not done that before.
And he spends a lot of time there when there's no investigations going on. He's there. And there's no report of that happening from any other investigator. We've spent countless hours there. You got to think we've been there a lot. We spent this isn't just a weekend rodeo for us. We've spent several days there over the last 3 years, and I've never seen lights even flicker in there before. I've had incidents where lights have cut all the way on when we were gone or all the way off, but for them to flicker one by one. Now let's take a bad ground. And James, I'm not arguing with you, but that's a great point. But let's take a bad ground. If there was a bad ground, it would cause multiple lights to flash on and flash off. But they were doing it literally one at a time, and they would go around the room doing it. And every time that one light would cut on, something else would happen at the same time. And that one light would flicker, you'd see a shadow figure. One light would flicker, you hear a footstep somewhere. One light would flicker, and all the equipment would go off at the same time. So we were trying to chase and debunk everything that was going on, but it was multiple things happening at once. Even when we noticed when Chris Mendez was with us, every time a voice came through the spirit box, it would set off the EDI box, which is very hard to set off the EMF on that. You damn near got to hold something with electricity to that box to get it to set off. On ours, at least. I don't know about everybody else's, but on ours, to get the EMF to set off, it really has to be a high EMF reading.
Hey, Carrie,
to get that thing to set off. But the last time Mendez and all of us were together, anytime a voice came through the spirit box, the EMF would light up, and then the geophone on there would go off. So that's why I'm saying Rainworth is the only location that has shown me that. And then full body apparitions. There's a man in the kitchen. You know, I was getting up one morning. This wasn't this past time. I did not see the guy.
I didn't see him either, nor did I feel his presence.
I didn't feel his presence either. But the last time I was there, Mendez, 3 of us saw him. Well, you didn't see him last time either, did you?
When we were there with Chris?
With Chris.
No, I warned you guys about him. And
Chris saw him. I didn't see him last time. But I saw him the time before that.
And I saw him the very first time.
But, you know, there's a guy in the kitchen. We all saw him. We all described the same thing he was wearing. I have multiple lights, different rooms doing it. Strange because the house isn't on one circuit.
Multiple lights on the same circuit and one light flickering and the others didn't, then it would change. Some things, 2 of the lights would flicker, others didn't. It was so odd.
Right. And that's where I'm going with it, the way the lights were. I guess you'd have to be there to see what we're talking about. So you've got like 2 lights on the fireplace, 2 lamps. Then you got multiple lights all around the kitchen. And the way it would flicker is one here on the fireplace, one of the lamps would flicker. It'd stop. Then the kitchen, one light in the kitchen, another light in the kitchen, then the opposite light on the fireplace. And it would just go around the room doing it. At the same, after you hear a big knock in the other room. You'd hear a disembodied voice over here each time. It was almost like whatever was doing it was draining energy from the power in the house to manifest.
There is 10 out of 10 poltergeist activity at Rainworth, like 10 out of 10.
Absolutely.
And
the door shaking proved it.
Yeah, I mean, we've had door handles shaking like somebody was trying to violently get out of a room. I've now had dowsing rods physically manipulated. I've
Didn't
heard
Emily have the door open?
Emily had a door open on her while she was peeing this weekend.
But several people reported that.
the first time
Mendez had that same door open.
Yeah, the first time we heard the little tiny footprints like a child was running, and then something jumped on the sofa next to me. So there's absolutely 10 out of 10 poltergeist activity, but not to be mistaken with the movie. It's not evil. It's not demonic. It's not anything. It's actually intriguing. It's very intriguing to me. And I'm happy to report to you, my REM pod really didn't go off this weekend, guys, which is a new thing. It did a little bit, but not intelligently. It was just kind of sitting out and it would kind of go off. I even asked, I'm like, I'm really surprised that you guys aren't touching the red light that's on the table, because that's like their favorite piece of equipment. And they just weren't having it. It was almost like, ooh, you guys brought us new stuff. Hey, Lois. In theory, spirits pull energy from one place. Think about they discharge energy to lights. Sean, you know my theory behind it.
Yeah, Ronnie and I spoke about that a little bit last night.
Absolutely not.
And we're definitely on the same page with that. I think lights, especially too, Ronnie. We didn't get this far with it last night because we always go all over the place. But I think lights also have energy and give off energy, and it pulls from the light energy as well, whether it be the heat from the light, because heat is also a form of energy. That's why I'm doing so many different experiments with lights right now. It's even getting to the point where it's affecting my camera lights in that place. But that place is one big pool of energy.
But we always find ourselves going into Rainworth and saying, when it starts to get a little bit slow, we fall into the trap of saying you can pull energy from any one of these devices that are out.
And the next thing you know, it
and it's crazy. Like, then all of a sudden,
but it's always crazy for a few hours, then nothing.
Yeah, it's like the spirits at Rainworth have a bedtime for sure.
Yeah, it'll go crazy. Rainworth has a sweet spot. It'll be little stuff throughout the day, then nothing. Then it'll start real slowly. You'll hear a footstep, a voice, the lights will start flickering. Then it's wide open for a few hours. Then it just dies. Nothing. Not even an EVP. I was hot on EVPs from like 9 o'clock at night to about 1 in the morning. And after 1, we weren't getting out a single thing happening.
Right.
Yeah.
But like Boo's Paranormal said, I feel nothing negative there. Whatever is at Rainworth is absolutely 100% trying to communicate.
I do believe it's a multi-spirit.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was asked this weekend, how many spirits do you think reside at Rainworth? I cannot pinpoint a number. I really can't.
I'd say more than 3.
3 years straight, I have had the same 3 to 4 children spirits come through. I get the same names every time. And when I ask if those certain children are there, they will interact with whatever equipment. I know exactly what spirit will interact, what child spirit will interact with a mag light, and which one will interact with, say, the REM pod or whatever. But like every time, the coolest thing about Rainworth to me is every time I go, something new happens. Something new happens. So last year, no, I'm sorry, it was August of this year was when we discovered the light turner on her.
Yeah.
All right.
One thing new happens every time we go.
One thing new happens every time we go. I have been trying to teach the spirits of Rainworth how to use cat balls now for like 3 years. And like they have never set off a cat ball until recently. This weekend. This weekend, we had an intelligent yes-no cat ball setup going on. I've got a holder. One side says yes, one side says no. I explained to them, hey, the left side, the left ball is yes, the right ball is no. And then I would ask a question and it would answer in correspondence, which is the funny story. When I asked the spirits if Emily needed to stop lying, the yes ball lit up. From what you were saying, it is as if you are watching where the spirit energy is moving through the house. It sounds like a great time. Oh, 10 out of 10, book it. 10 out of 10.
And we don't get any incentive, y'all, from talking about Rainworth. Just letting y'all know.
I'm plugging y'all in because as paranormal investigators, I feel like
y'all need to experience
you need to experience real paranormal activity. I'm not talking go into an asylum and there's like some strange pipes that are knocking and now all of a sudden there's spirits knocking on a wall. I'm not talking about go into a reportedly haunted house and the REM pod goes off. I'm talking you will hear these children's spirits running up and down the stairs, like physically running. It's insane.
Especially in the blacksmith shop. But you got to be careful in that blacksmith shop, though. The blacksmith shop.
You got to know your limits.
You got to know your limits. You have to know when to step out of there. The crazy part is everybody knows which recorder I roll with. But Chris Mendez rolls with a Sony recorder, and he got the exact same EVP that I got, the Get Out. The exact same EVP, the same voice, the same tone, same cadence. Here's what's crazy. He got Get Out, I got Get Out. When a young lady from the public investigation went to the blacksmith shop, and I'm glad Ron Wood is in here. Her EVP said, don't leave. The same room that was trying to close her in there, she's the first one I've ever heard get don't leave.
So let me get through some of these comments. I'm going to ask you a question about that. Okay.
Right. Ron is my witness.
Ron said, I do agree. They want to be known and remembered. Emily said, Chris woke up Friday morning and heard two women talking, but couldn't make out what they were saying. She heard footsteps in the hallway in the middle of the night that woke her up.
Yeah, I remember Chris telling me that at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Ron said it was the same room. Emily and I heard whispering in my ear. Emily corroborates that. Ron says, hey, Rainworth is a must for those who want to experience real paranormal. Says, I've always believed that the more you investigate a location, the more it gives you each time. They remember you and get used to seeing you, so they do more. 100% agree.
I agree with that.
But I want to ask
jail,
you,
Daryl.
I want to ask, yeah, I got my boyfriend at the jail.
Yeah.
Tell him I'm coming for a conjugal visit.
I would say the jail's pretty lit.
I like the jail. But I want to touch on your issue in the blacksmith shop. Guys, I have not spent any time in the blacksmith shop. I don't go in there. There's bugs, there's spiders, I saw a rat run while they were live one day. There's squirrels that are trying to get tangled in my hair. It's not happening.
I'm drawn to it.
So everybody gets drawn there. They want to go there. That's cool. I would rather walk into the blacksmith shop when there's 10 ghosts than a rabid squirrel. Okay. It's just no. But I did go with Sean and his group. And I'm kind of going to bounce here really quick for a second. So I went with Sean and his group out there, and his group seemed to be very invested. Could it be in the blacksmith shop that there is something that is drawn to people that are more vulnerable? And that's why maybe that girl got the please stay. And we're a little bit more versed in investigating and more able to protect ourselves. So that's why they want you to get out.
That's a good point. The first thing she said when she really started asking questions, and she's a new investigator, was you can pull from my energy. And I stopped her. I did stop her to public, and I gave her a warning and said, my exact words to her was, I caution giving spirits permission to draw from your energy, because that could go down a very dark rabbit hole that you may or may not be prepared to deal with. She said she didn't care, that she knew it. She knew what her consequences could be of that. But I did warn her on that, those of y'all who are watching. But she was very willing to give whatever she had to it. For someone to only investigate twice, this was her third one, and both times was with us. I felt like it was my duty to warn her about giving spirits permission to use her energy. But I will say, I got to give her a shout out. I won't put her name out there because I don't have permission to do that. But if she's watching this, she knows who she is. For somebody to only investigate 3 times, she is a very good investigator.
She is.
She if she continues in this world that we're in, she's going to be awesome. She did Ron was with me in there with her, but I think you're on to something with that, Court. That's something that I haven't thought about. But I think because she was so vulnerable and so open-minded, and so it's almost like we talk about with kids, with kids being so open-minded, and I think she was very open-minded and so willing to do it that whatever was in there was so willing to connect with her. The problem is we don't know what's in there.
Right. Because the last time you were in there with Chris, you thought Chris's face was distorting. His voice didn't sound right. Looking back on the camera, it was actually your voice, your face that was getting jacked up. Yeah. But both you and Chris were able to identify that something didn't feel right, and you were able to remove yourselves from the blacksmith shop quickly, take a break.
Well, cleanse. Chris said he was getting pissed off at me for no reason.
Take a break, cleanse, remove, and then readdress.
Right.
But somebody like a newbie wouldn't be able to identify that as easily as, say, a seasoned investigator would, or somebody who has done a lot of research in this field. Right. So I'm wondering if maybe whatever's in the blacksmith shop might not be very nice, and they are trying to maybe utilize somebody in that manner.
They're trying to get a vessel. Maybe they weren't ready to go. Maybe they're trying to, I don't know. Whatever it is they're trying to do, because they tried to get to me, and they did. I didn't even realize, and I've been investigating 20 years now, and I'm still a newbie, so to speak, I feel. But they were able to get to me in a way that I've never had something get to me before. So, I didn't know what I was dealing with. All I know is I was investigating by myself for a period of time, and all of a sudden things happen. So I did warn her, but I think if she sticks with it and the more knowledge she gets, she's going to be a hell of an investigator. If she was to start her own team or get on someone's team, she is going to be a big asset to the paranormal world.
Now, really quickly before we wrap it up, I don't know if Robert Ebert is still in here, but he had made mention in the beginning of the podcast where he said, did you ever figure out what was in the woods?
A deer.
The thing that I love, can I finish? Thank you. The thing that I love the most about being on TikTok Live when I do a lot of these investigations is I have more than just my own 2 eyes and 2 ears. So as I'm exiting the blacksmith shop, I'm almost to the front door, and I've got comments flooding into my live feed going, what was that? What was that? You didn't hear that? What is it? And I'm going, what the heck did you guys hear? And everybody's like, you didn't hear that whistle? And I'm like, no, what? I didn't hear the whistle. But then again, I was interacting with the people in the live as I was walking back to the house, explaining to them that I was going to go check on the other group that was in the house, and we were going to see what was going on over there. So I would not have been open or in tune to hearing a whistle. So I go in the house. Everybody's going off about this whistle. They all triple dog dare me to go back outside and see what's in the woods. I am a huge advocate for Appalachian folklore, and I am not going to chase a whistle in the woods. It's not happening. So anyway, because this one right here in the comments said he triple dog dared me to go back outside, I grabbed my little brightest flashlight that I could, and I took my whole live feed with me. We're all going down, okay, together. So we go out to the woods. I don't hear anything. And then all of a sudden, as I'm going to give up, there is like a almost like a woo-hoo that came from the woods. That's how I can describe it. Like I heard, that's exactly what I heard right there. So I said, what the F is going on here? So then they said, well, whistle back. Guys, Appalachian folklore, you don't whistle back, but I'm here for it. So I did a quick whistle, listen for about 2.2 seconds, and turn around and went back in the house. So to answer your question, Robert, no, I didn't find out what was in the woods. But what I do want to leave you guys with is a cliffhanger. When I brought this said whistle and woohoo to the owner's attention. He said there's absolutely no way that it could be cryptid or Sasquatch. Not a Sasquatch, I'm sorry. He said there's no way it could be like a skinwalker because there's no known evidence of Navajo Indian what was a word he used? Presence in that area. I've done a lot of rabbit hole 3 a.m. skinwalker like deep dives, and I don't know if they're just pinpointed to Navajo presence or not. So if you guys can let me know, we're going to pick this up on the next podcast. I think it would be a good topic for like, can cryptids roam the entire country or are they centralized to one location? I guess is my question. Hey, I was on live till you brought out the rag doll. Daryl, the rag doll's coming to the jail. The dolls on the 3rd floor of the jail love some cat balls. You need to try it sometime. James, I think we should bring out every doll from that room and set it around Daryl. I think that's what we should do. But thank you, Em.
Thanks.
And I want to give a shout out to Lost Souls and Booze Paranormal for joining us this past weekend. Yes. Absolutely a pleasure. We 10 out of 10 would investigate with you guys again.
Absolutely.
And you know, energy is everything, guys. So make sure you keep it positive, keep it clean. And until next time,
we'll see you on the other side.
We'll see you on the other side.